This is Raina Campbell, your Chief Dream Driver, and welcome to the No Parking Podcast, where through conversations and discussions with creators like yourself, we'll find interesting approaches to help you take your dreams out of park, put them in drive, and ride towards success. Hey, Dream Drivers. Welcome to episode 91 of the Dreams and Drive podcast. And this episode is going to be a little bit different because I had the opportunity to interview the cast of Power at a recent press junket. And I thought this would just be a great platform to share this experience, share this interview with you guys. This has been something that I've always wanted to do along my own journey. And here it is, like my first ever press junket with the cast of a show that I absolutely love. So before we get into the interviews, I want to say if this is your first time listening, make sure to follow us on social at Dreams and Drive, and make sure to use the hashtag Dreams and Drive when you're talking about the show on social as well, just so that if other people want to see what others are saying, your stuff is coming up in their feed. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. I also invite you to check out our show notes page at dreamsanddrive.com. Creative storytelling, as you see happens in long-form dramas such as Power, has always been a passion of mine. And if I wasn't doing the podcast, I really think I'd probably be trying to pursue some type of film or visual storytelling career as well. I love stories, love what happens when you can create characters on screen and watch them develop. Being able to interview these actors was so surreal for me because it was something that I've always had on my checklist, right? And now it was coming true. The audio isn't the best only because I'll tell you guys about that at the end. Let's listen to the interviews. I'll tell you my takeaways. So if you're ever in this experience yourself, things that you can know beforehand when going to interview celebrities or doing press junkets such as these, this is definitely a learning experience for me. But hey, I got to interview the cast of Power. Super cool. If you haven't already, season 4 premiered on Starz June 25th. Every Sunday, you can watch a new episode. I had the opportunity to preview the first 4 episodes, and it is lit. I'm telling you guys. I'm a fan of lots of other long-form dramas, but this one definitely captures my heart just because of the characters and because of the themes of the show. So let me set the scene for you. You basically go into a room, and they have tables set up with chairs, and you sit down at a table, and then what happens is the cast rotates around each table every, 10, 15 minutes. So I sat at the table closest to the door. I got out my equipment, said hello to the other journalists. And the thing is, you get to ask your questions. But remember, there are like 4 to 5 other journalists at the table as well. So you really have to fight to get your question in, because think about it. This is your one opportunity to be able to interview the cast. You have to make sure that you get your question in. So yeah, I'm going to cut to our first interview, which was with Omari Hardwick and Lela Loren, and I asked them about success and hustle, and here was what they had to say. I just want to ask from, an audience perspective, there's so many different types of people who watch this show, and I think the part that's really interesting to me is the hustler mentality that everyone kind of possesses in different ways. What do you think, or what do you want audience to really think about what it means to truly be a successful hustler in the world that you guys
You said something earlier today about all of them. I was talking about all the characters being survivors. And Lela made a great comment about us all being scrappers. It's funny too, because I left the house 2 nights ago, and we commented on young Generation X participants saying, my cousin will say it sometimes, and she's in journalism, and she'll say, I don't even know what the hashtags are, but it's, grinding, or these words, and I'm like, for me, it's just work. The work. Why don't we hashtag working? Like our grandparents would go working, grinding, hustle, just working. Getting it. I'm like, just working. And I often tell my cousin that. I go, be careful with that. She's this 25-year-old budding journalist who comes out of D.C. and and I'm proud of her, but I'm always like, you got to be careful with how we slogan that. So to answer your question, I just think...
I don't know. I think, like, trying to define the success of these hustlers, it's sort of a cautionary tale, because you look at all of them, they're incredibly lonely, they're manipulative, they've got not a lot of integrity. Every time something goes good in their life, that means it's about to go terribly wrong. So I don't know. I don't know if it's...
Scrappers, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're fighting, man. They're all from, like, Southside Jamaica, Queens, except for the handsome good guys, quote unquote, that Lela gets to play with. That being,
my FBI boys.
The FBI boys aren't from Southside Jamaica, Queens, but everybody else, including Angela, and I think we often forget as viewers, she's still from that. Whether we go Team Angela or Team Tasha, everybody's from the same neighborhood.
Everybody in power is kind of a self-serving dick, and so I don't know what to make of that.
Is that what life is?
I don't think so. No.
Are we all what?
Very dark tale of humanity.
What did she say?
I was just saying, is that what life is? You said we're all like self-serving.
In power. I didn't say.
Okay, no,
I said in power. All the characters are kind of self-serving dicks.
We're all self-serving in the sense that we've all been on an airplane at this table, and there's something to, if the plane goes down, put the oxygen mask on yourself prior to putting. We all kind of put the oxygen mask on ourselves first. In this show, to a steroid level.
All right, so that interview was done, and then they switched tables, and to our table walked over Rotimi and Lala Anthony. Here are my questions that I asked them. What kind of legacy do you think your individual characters want to leave, like within the show? So I feel like that's something that we kind of see evolving. Like, what do you think is that thing that's either holding them back or motivating them to keep going?
I think for me, the theme is, be careful what you wish for because you might just get it. Like Keisha has a need to want to be in the world so bad, and there's an underlying jealousy with her best friend Tasha. Why her and not me? And she wants it so bad that she's willing to go through anything to get it, which starts kind of the relationship with Tommy, which is a toxic one and not the best thing. And then when you realize how deep you're in, it's hard to get out of it. So I would say that's definitely what's happening with my character.
I think for Dre, kind of the way it was set up in season 3, he wants to be like a Ghost 2.0. He wants to be an evolved one where it's less feelings and more about the business. And I think that's what he kind of ultimately wants to do. And he wants to grow that. That's what he said in season 3. But we'll see if that happens.
I think asking people about legacy, even if it's for a character that is not real, is super important because your legacy kind of motivates your why. It's kind of that thing that keeps you going in a way. So getting to ask Rotimi and Lala about their perceptions and their takes and their insights on legacy was kind of cool to me. All right, so after that interview, so what happens was they switched tables again. So this time we got to speak to Joseph Sikora and Naturi Naughton. Who do you think this season, we ended last season with with you realizing what happened to Holly. Is Tommy missing Holly this season, or is Tommy trying to forget about Holly?
That's a really incredible question.
It's a great question.
Wait, you guys. So having, these two characters that I love on the show say the question I asked was a great question got me so hyped on the inside. Of course, I had to remain very professional, but I was super, super hyped that they said that. Okay, back to the interview.
I think I would lean towards the latter, but I think that you can't have the struggle of the latter without, the former that he is missing her, like that it's true. Because if something isn't true, I think the audience really smells that so fast. And I think that the truth is that he loved this man. And I think that this will be brought up covertly almost, like subvertly, like people things that mentioned that will hurt him or make him think in a specific way until there will be a specific point this season that when he will have to deal with it in bigger ways than he had planned.
Art imitates life. What do you think has been the biggest lesson that this season has taught you about what it means to be individuals?
Oh, I've learned so much. I was expecting while shooting the show up until, I was like 5 months. I learned so much about just this character, this show, but specifically about myself. I feel like stronger than I've ever felt. So I learned about myself as an expecting mother, as a woman, as an actress. I feel like there's so many layers that I haven't even tapped into yet that now I actually feel like this show is giving me a vehicle to tap into. I cannot wait for people to see this season. It's one of the most emotional but draining but passionate seasons that I've ever been a part of. So as an actress, I feel like I've become just a lot more seasoned and strong as a person. So I learned a lot.
I've learned that no matter how much you want, it's very hard to change.
Wow. Tommy, Joseph Sikora, said no matter how much you want, it can be very hard to change. And that kind of hit me deep because it made me think about, wow, like, this is a fake show, but at the same time, like, there's real themes that you can take away in your own life. Like, change is difficult. I don't think change is impossible, but it definitely is difficult. So the last question that I asked this group, and it's funny because during the last round, we actually had more time, so we got to ask more questions. As they were leaving, I had to say this to Tommy / Joseph Sikora. I was just like, yo, what kind of accent do you have? And his response was a little bit funny, but it was still cool. What kind of accent is Tommy have? I always try to figure out, like, it sounds like a mix of so many different things.
You don't know how bad that breaks my heart. It's
supposed to be new. He's from Chicago.
No, I mean,
but
I
literally,
hear.
You don't know how much that hurts my feelings so bad.
It's so funny. What does it sound like to you?
No, because I don't know, it sounds like New York, but I don't know, like, what part of New York it's supposed to be, like,
So my dialect coach was from the Bronx. Tom's supposed to be from Queens. This one guy, this quick story is that there's a Teamster named Timmy Shannon, who's from, he's a Westie, but he grew up, he did a lot of growing up in Yorksville, too. And I said to him, man, Timmy, after season 1, I said, people say that my dialect sounds like I'm from Boston. And he goes, let me ask you something. What do you care about anybody who's from anywhere? And I said, what do you feel like you sound like? I said, I feel like I sound like I'm from New York. He goes, I watched your show. You sound like you're from New York. You know what people ask me whenever I'm not in New York? I said, what? He goes, they ask me if I'm from Boston. I said, you got a quintessential New York accent. He goes, look at you. You're as white as Patty's pig. You got strawberry blonde hair. People are going to be asking you to the day you die. You're not going to know where you're from.
I love it, though. I love it.
And we got to wrap up.
All right, thank you. So it was over. It went by so fast. I was like, whoa, I just survived my first press roundtable, first press junket. I got to take pictures with the cast. It was a very phenomenal experience. So I said on the onset that I was going to talk about some of the key takeaways that I learned from this whole experience. I think number one, it was you always need to have a backup. So as you guys can tell, the audio wasn't the best, but I had went in there with like an external audio recorder and my mic, but I didn't test how to use it before going. I know. I thought I knew how to use it. And then halfway into the interviews, I realized that it wasn't recording. It wasn't working, but I had a backup. So the backup was my phone. I had been, recording via the sound recorder on my iPhone, and I had that as a backup. So I didn't actually use the external recorder that I brought, but I did use my iPhone audio, as you can hear from here. But adding another layer to that, sometimes it makes, it's good to make friends with the other people there, because I had even kind of messed up some of the recording. I was trying to take videos while they were talking, and it messed up the first interview with Omari and Lela, so I didn't have the full interview. So because I had taken the time to really introduce myself to everyone who was there before we actually started talking to the cast, I was able to email Amber from Glamburger Girl blog, asked her if she could send me the audio that she took of Omari and Lela, and she so graciously did Thank you guys, because if not, I would have had no audio of me asking my only question that I got to ask the two. So I am so grateful to her as well. Another lesson that I learned is you really need to keep relationships. So the only reason why this happened was because I had kept in contact with the people from Stars, the publicity team, after I had initially interviewed Courtney Kemp and Naturi Naughton back in 2015. You have to stay top of mind on people's radar. I had reached out to them maybe about a month or so before the press junket because I wanted to interview Courtney for the podcast. They politely said, you know what, we can't make that happen right now, but we would love to invite you to the press junket. And look at the opportunity that I was able to have because I stayed top of mind. You can't expect that people are going to be out there looking for you. You have to go out there and make your own opportunities. And I think that this press junket is just an example of an opportunity that I had wanted for a long time. And me being on top of my relationships really helped it come true. So the last tip I want to say is you are important. I think, even though Dreams and Drive is not at the caliber of, let's say, a huge media outlet like such as BuzzFeed, I met a girl who was interviewing the cast at BuzzFeed, and she had a legit press junket in the sense that it wasn't a round table. It was a one-on-one interview, and they recorded and all that good stuff. I still was confident about my outlet. When people asked me, who are you with? I said Dreams and Drive. I told them what it was about. I didn't try to downplay what it was. And when I spoke to the actors and asked them the question, I was very confident in what I was asking. They didn't have to know that it wasn't going to be going on a platform that hits 50 billion people a month. No, that is not what is important. I think just having that confidence and really knowing that you're there for a reason is important if you're ever in these type of situations. You have to stand out, ask good questions, make sure that whoever you're interviewing remembers you. And hopefully Lala remembers me. Hopefully Rotimi remembers me. Hopefully Omari, Lela, Joseph, and Naturi remember me, because I was very purposeful in the questions that I asked. When they were talking to me, I looked them in their eyes. It was just little things that I did to make sure that I stood out. And this is just the beginning, I know when I was in that room, I had this energy. I felt this energy. I felt like this was something that I could do on a larger scale. It just reaffirmed to me that my dreams are in drive. And it's all going to work out. Thank you guys for listening to this episode. It's a short one, but I wanted to just give you a little behind the scenes look into some of the things that I'm doing. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Make sure that you guys check out Power every Sunday on Stars. These episodes are going to leave you with your mouth open, and I'm not just saying that. So if you love the show, if you want to check it out, I invite you to do that. The theme for this season is the road to redemption is paved with consequences, as every character seeks to redeem themselves for the wrongs they have done in the past. You guys know I love a story of a good story that has the pivotal points in people's lives, and this season is all about pivotal points. So if you want to see some great storytelling in that regard, check it out. So now that you've finished listening to episode 91, which was a little offbeat, a little bit different from the normal programming, make sure that you check out episode 92 with Sachin Gupta, and he's going to be talking all about how to get paid. So we're talking about sponsorships, monetizing your brand, growing your audience, all that good stuff. Make sure you go and download episode 92 now. You're going to get a wealth of information from Sachin. He knows so much. He's worked with a lot of top podcasters and influencers in the game, some of which we can't name on record, but I'm telling you, some big podcasts he has worked with, so he knows his stuff. All right, keep dreaming, keep driving, and we'll chat again in episode 92.